All right, everybody, we are back, and there's loud music. There's loud music. Let's bring it back down. So we're finally back. It's Kings of the Rift time, and basically, it's been crazy. I've been busy doing stuff, been busy doing life and streaming and figuring stuff out and trying to figure out what's actually going on in the world here, and honestly, just trying to find out myself what actually I want to do and everything. So we're figuring it out now. We're getting it all kind of situated, set up, all that different stuff. But honestly, we're gonna be going here and we're gonna be starting up the podcast once again because honestly, I'm very I enjoy doing it and I enjoy actually getting the content out there, getting letting you guys know what's going on and kind of figuring things out there. Now, obviously, as you guys can see above my head, or if you're listening on the podcast version, this episode is going to be entitled Finding the Line. And basically, what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to find the best things for us to be able to go forward into the future and just kind of not just us, but obviously, this is your source of competitive League of Legends news and opinions. And kind of just trying to take a look at where the other teams and stuff like that actually kind of are at this point in the LCS, and that's one of the big things that I'm really trying to focus on too is just myself having having a better look on competitive league this time. The LCS here, I've really been actually paying more attention than I really have ever been. And honestly, I think that is because of the change from the weekend to the actual daytime, or not from the weekend, but the weekends to the weekdays. Honestly, I've been really more focused on that, and I enjoy it. I do watch a good amount of League while I'm at the gym. I am going to the gym more often now. Usually try to do like 4 times a week, if not 5 times. At least during the weekdays there, obviously. So, feeling good, feeling nice, meditating, all this different kinds of stuff here. I actually finally, like, I don't know if anybody, how long you guys, there's a big vein right there pumping out of my head. But honestly, I don't know how many of you guys have ever heard of Mind Games Weldon. He's a player, he's a guy who actually is, he was a kind of coach slash mental, like, esports psychologist type stuff like that. And he had a thing called the Mac athlete. And what that is the mindfulness, acceptance, and commitment athlete. And his whole thing with that was actually taking it and taking mindfulness in, like, kind of through meditation and all this to really get to a point where a person can actually honestly like become mindful of what they're doing in the game instead of just and not even just in game but obviously everywhere kind of as a thing too. um but if you're able to actually become mindfulness in things, you're able to accept different things and you're going to be able to be committed to that. Now that's obviously something that I need to be working on myself. I personally know that I do get a little bit distracted during games, especially if I'm on stream, but that's fine. That's no big deal. It's not your fault. But I do that, and one of the big things about being mindful and all that is the that bit of acceptance into actually like letting your mind race a little bit, but just bringing it back and figuring things out just for yourself. Figuring things out for your personal actual um, like your thoughts here, and kind of being like, it's all right, it's okay that I was thinking about this. It was okay that I was distracted here or anything like that, but just guiding your brain back to normalcy and stuff like that. But I have been doing some meditation, kind of like that Mac athlete type thing. I do have to finish that course. I've started it about in 2018, and I have not not probably actually before that. probably like 2016. But I just need to finish it. I've gotten like halfway through like a couple different times, and then I have to restart because I just kind of get lost with it. So kind of my own personal problem there, but I can figure it out. I can get it done. Now that I'm thinking about it, actually, probably start doing that going forward. So I do highly recommend it. I can even leave the link in the YouTube video like description down here. And then you guys from the podcast or even from the stream here can definitely go and look at that, and I can kind of figure that out with you guys. Definitely recommend if I believe it's still up for purchase and stuff. So definitely you can do that. You can get in the videos, figure that stuff out, kind of do it really well. So I think that'd be a cool thing to kind of do with the viewers at least. But honestly, I kind of want to get right into it. It's been a little bit since we've gotten into anything to do with Kings of the Rift here. So let's jump into the episode and we'll do it from there. So as always, guys, I wanted to just start off by saying hello, everyone, and welcome back to Kings of the Rift, your source for competitive League of Legends news and opinions. I'm your host, Gold Knight, as always. And before we get into everything and kind of really chatting on stuff, I know we've been kind of shooting the crap here for about 9 minutes, but I wanted to say thank you to all of you for listening. Really, this has been just amazing. Getting here and being able to do this, throwing things up on TikTok, throwing things up on Twitter, on all my different podcast platforms and all this. You can find this everywhere. If you go to YouTube, if you go to even Twitch, this is where I live stream it. You can go to TikTok. You can find it on um, Anchor. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that different stuff. You can really find the podcast and just give it a listen. If you have a chance to like give it a like or give it a review or something like that, definitely do that, as I'm always looking for more and more support there. Any support that I get honestly will help me create this podcast even better. I have this little thing called like a dopamine deficiency because I'm pretty sure I'm ADHD, and what that makes me kind of do is if I'm not getting constant validation from you guys, seeing views rise and seeing watching watch percentage go up and all this different stuff and looking at the analytics, if I don't see that scooting sky high, then I'm sad and it sucks. But I work it out. I figured it out. We got this. Let's work together. Help me be able to help make content and just kind of figure it out. Any bit of help that any of you guys can kind of give me with feedback, with if you want to subscribe or like and follow things and stuff like that, it's awesome, and I appreciate everybody. Uh, but let's get into it. So we're gonna find the line today, and what I mean by that is we're gonna take a moment and just like really just together figure out where the line with uh, just like League of Legends coaching is, but honestly also with the uh, with competitive league with LCS and all of that. So we're gonna start off, I think, as we usually do, with the coaching kind of aspect of things, and just trying to find what I mean by the line. So there's a point when you're playing League of Legends that it comes to not just your mental aspect, but to just things in general when it comes to like the way that you are going about it. And honestly, the biggest thing that I've always said is you really need to have the right mental, like I guess mindset is the right way is a way to say it. But there's actually just a better terminology. We definitely need to be able to have it kind of a growth mindset when it comes to playing League of Legends. You can't just play to like just play to play. Um, you have to play to kind of be on that line of increasing while also making like learning, not just playing and winning and learning, but just being like present and figuring out what you're actually doing that's helping you win. You need there's such an importance with learning and improvement. And honestly, it's so good to be able to find that joy and that like that great passion in improving your skills and improving your knowledge on things. That's something that all players can actually do. I definitely think it's a really good thing to be able to get into League of Legends, just playing things, drilling different things. I've been saying that for quite a while, as you guys know on the podcast. But I definitely don't think you need to scrim anymore. I definitely think drilling is a big thing here. And honestly, not like because drilling is not just throwing your League of Legends against the wall and letting it stick. What you're doing is you're putting things to work. Um, the the practice tool within League of Legends is not perfect at all. However, it does give you the opportunity to figure some things out a little bit better than just playing games mindlessly. You're able to constantly repeat something back and forth and back and forth, and you don't have to worry about just kind of what if this happens to me in game, I'll deal with it then. No, you can create that system and create that problem happening, and you can actually just do it. I saw something that I think it was again Forest Within said, who's a great, who's kind of a he's more of a better. I've talked about this before, but he also has to do with like coaching, and I think he would honestly make a really good coach in general. But I don't think that's where his like heart lies. But I like seeing his thoughts on improvement and stuff. One of his things that he said was, what you need to do is you need to get like 20 different computers, right? And let's say you're a professional team or you're an amateur team or whatever. But you have to get like 20-ish computers or so and have them play different games of League of Legends. Have the main team. Let's say we're practicing fighting around Baron. Let's say so we have to play the game out to about 20 minutes. Each one of those uh, 20 games here, or the 20 PCs are playing a game. They're playing, let's say, the um, same champions or similar to it at least a little bit. But you're playing the same champion as whatever the team is playing, and you can get you can get interns, you can get coaches, you can get um, just like the academy team or or a different amateur team type stuff, helping out and being on those other 20 or all those 20 computers there. Let's say the other 15 that aren't being used um, by the actual team players. And what you do is you get it all to the point of that 20 minutes. You get that tournament game or tournament realm kind of custom game to a certain point. Let's say just about 20, 21 minutes. They're just the junglers are farming, the top and mid are farming, uh, bottom lane's doing their thing. We're not trying to kill anybody. We're not trying to do anything crazy. But maybe you could do something like that. But you don't spend any gold other than what your base, what your like what you would normally have in the at the beginning of the game. That way that the players who come in when you I'm getting ahead of myself here, but the players who get come into those other games will end up having um, I'm realizing right now in my brain there's a there's a team. Actually, no, this works. This works. So it's like 5-5, and then a second game. It's all good. Never mind. Uh, I'm like going through things in my brain. It's not really. I talked about ADHD earlier. That's see, it jumped in. So basically, what you're doing is you're having your players play out a game till it gets to Baron, and you are at like 20, 21 minutes. Let's say you just want to, you want to say, okay, with these champions and the way that we are, we're in an even game state or something like that. Can we rush Baron? And um, they go to rush Baron, and you practice rushing Baron. You practice just 5 manning it down, slamming into it, and seeing how well that goes. And the other team, the other five, let's say the amateur team or something like that, is coming in and they're actually attacking, and trying to play against the players and trying to get them off of Baron, trying to get them, to try to kill them or try to just figure something out there. And like that's that goal of that other team is just to get them off Baron because their main thing is they're gonna just rush Baron. So if you can get them off Baron, you get it reset. You can get them to you can steal the Baron. Fantastic. That's a great idea. But what you do then is you have that fight. It goes one way or the other. You can pause after that fight in that game, or just everybody abandon that game, and then you take the players from that first game. And now that the second games are prepped, using staff, using whatever, um, you can end up having a second game to go directly into another fight around Baron. How about this time? The game state's basically the same, maybe a little bit gold, little more gold, little less gold, that kind of stuff. But you basically get to a point where you go from Baron fight that you're just going for Baron to immediately a Baron fight where you're not actually trying to, you're just kind of baiting it, and you are then able to turn around and just attack the enemy team. Now I'm saying this doesn't have to be in a practice tool. This doesn't have to be in, you know, 5-6 minutes later. I believe it's 5 minutes later that Baron spawns after the first original Baron is taken. So you don't have to wait that extra time. You just sit there and you figure it out then. And then while you're doing that, while you're fighting that, then you go, okay, let's break it down, and we'll have. Meanwhile, some of the staff is taking the original accounts they're using, and building a team up to, let's say, Baron again for another 20 minutes or whatever. But you can get a lot of like repetitions of these things going on in such a short amount of time, rather than just playing a game, getting a quick, lead early, and then the enemy team going, "Oh, I'm sorry, FF, because we're too far behind. We don't want to play it out." That's the biggest thing that's happening to these players. Take a look at like teams like Team Liquid. We'll jump a little bit into the LCS here, before we get back into the coaching aspect. But if you take a look at Team Liquid this year, I think that's the perfect way to look at it. Team Liquid has, famously since the beginning of the split here, been called one of the hardest working teams in League of Legends. They are constantly doing scrim blocks. They have the longest scrims. After they're doing scrims, they're going on to play some solo queue and just and maybe even play the champions queue, all this different stuff. And that's fantastic. That's great. However, the problem is when they're scrimming. They're apparently really good scrimming too. Really good at scrimming. And that's fantastic. Like that's a great thing to have a team that's really good at scrimming and all that. But what happens during scrims? You have a point where teams actually just say, "Oh, we're losing too much. We're just going to dip out because this is just it's uneventful right now. Like what are we waiting for a throw?" Like, and yeah, you could be. So what's happening with the Team Liquid team is that they were, at least it seems like from the outside, that they were just used to this like playing from ahead and playing really good early games, because that was one of their big things. They're just, if you ranked them at just early games, they were like number 3 in the league, which is fantastic. And that's great. I'd love to see that. That's a great idea. But then after their early game, when it gets to about like 15-20 minutes, you think back to old Rogue in LEC, becomes like Rogue time, where basically it hits about 15-20 minutes, and for some reason it just turns into a happy game, and they just end up throwing, and they end up just not really keeping a track of things, making mistakes, thinking they're too far ahead, and jumping in and realizing they're not, and just kind of blowing everything up. And that's, I think, one of the big things that we really need to be kind of, or at least they need to be cognizant of. That is kind of what's happening, and I think that could have been like not like figured out from them. Like how, I don't know how it doesn't it doesn't click back to their coaches like thoughts and saying, well, this is what's happening. This is always happening. We're winning the early game. Why can't we transition it? Well, because when you go to scrims and you're doing your scrims and you're this far ahead, you're ridiculously far ahead and everything like that. You're not going to be just playing it out. You're going to be FFing. You're going to be kind of shit, shooting the shit, whatever, and stuff like that, and be like, yeah, we'll just do it next time, next game. And you're not getting the practice of actually having that gold lead and being able to then translate it into the next stage of the game. So that's where I'm kind of, if you do swap to this drilling structure where you're able to put yourself and put the team in two identical actual scenarios, and you're able to put them back to back and figure it out right then, instead of having to just play out a scrim and you figure it out if you figure it out. But no, you specifically structure this with internal scrims, instead of just playing with a different team. So you can you don't have to worry about giving out strats and different stuff like that. Um, but you just take your teams and you just slam them against each other, and then you have the staff ready for another slamming against each other, and then you just keep them kind of rotating. You give them something to do during that. But then you have to obviously take a look and you just figure that it's gonna happen. That you figure that this issue is going to happen. You figure that just from scrimming, you're gonna end up losing You're losing like the later game because you end up not playing the later game. So I think that's kind of something that we can adjust really and kind of take a look at, going forward into the future of League of Legends here. Um, but as I said earlier with the growth mindset and stuff like that, um, I think we really need to like kind of toe the line there of like where we're figuring out things like challenges. Um, we need to not the challenges in game that say, oh, you need to play a team with all knockups, or something like that. Like, that's not what I mean by challenges, but I do mean um, when you're playing and you're just constantly getting bopped by Vi, or you're constantly getting bopped by Lilia. That's that always happens to me. Instead of just going, I just can't play against Lilia. Embrace that. Embrace the idea. Like, why can't I? Kind of study that. Why can't I? Why can't I make this? Why can't I make this step? Where am I missing? Am I slower on my clears than her, and I'm just off tempo or something like that? Am I fighting into her before level 6? Am I fighting at level 6 and she's stronger because she can put me to sleep? How do I figure things out here? Like this, just that kind of stuff. You're able to like figure out and use those opportunities, those challenging opportunities, to be able to translate it to a growth opportunity there. Um, it's not just an obstacle; it's literally an opportunity, and I think that's a big thing. Obstacle over opportunity. It's an opportunity here for you. You need to have that positive mindset, not just I can't get past this thing. You're playing against a boss in whatever other game, and you're realizing like I just can't get over it. I can't win. But you're like, okay, well, if you study that character, you study, the next time you go into the boss battle, how does he attack? Does he roll that way? Does he roll this way? Is it better if I roll this way, rather than rolling that way? Like, how does that work? You really have to think of that and just figure it out. Those little like, um, those blips on your radar, those are just setbacks that are just little setbacks that just allow you to then, like, you can't go forward if you don't have space to move, and those setbacks bring you back a little bit so you can just jump forward and get back to where you need to be. It's a way that you can improve and an opportunity for you to improve there. Honestly, the most like hardworking people too are the ones who actually get shit done. There's been studies out there, a big psychology study. I don't have it off the top of my head, but basically the psychology study took a look at people who were playing the violin, and one of the things that they said was they really were looking for was, is there inherent talent, taking, and kind of that idea of, is it just, do I just be able am I able to just play the violin just because I'm really good at the violin, it's in my bones or my DNA or something like that, and or is it just from like practicing and stuff. And what they found was that there was no correlation between, um like just raw talent. There wasn't people who had this raw talent who were just really good at it and didn't practice, and then were outliers, just like ridiculous. Actually, that was the name of the paper or book. I think it was. There was a book named Outliers. Um, my brain just like threw it all together. Um, but that there's not those outliers who say, I'm really talented and I didn't practice and I'm still getting the same marks. I'm still getting, um, I'm still hitting like the top, um, top echelon of violin players. There also wasn't people who were, not talented at all and able to just keep grinding, um, and then make it, excuse me, and just make it like out there. That really wasn't a thing that kind of, that happened. But what they figured out was, they said, if you do like, let's say 10,000 hours of something, you will do better having had 10,000 hours than someone who has 1,000 hours. It's literally practice makes perfect. Like, that's the whole thing there. Um, because you need to figure it out. You need to actually put your effort out there. You can't just you can't just sit around and just like figure out, oh well, I'm just really good. It's in my bones. I have really good mechanics and stuff like that. Okay, but if you have those mechanics and you don't use those mechanics and you don't build up like the muscle memory as well as like the general like, um just like mental, aspect of like doing this thing versus that in the game, or seeing this spell come out, how do you react to it? You might have the mechanics to do some of those things, but unless you're doing it and you're actually figuring it out in game, then you're just kind of sitting there. Um, if you encounter these, like, because like sometimes when you're playing there and you're practicing, like, by playing solo queue, by playing Clash, by watching videos, all this different stuff. Playing in the practice tool. That's something that I've been actually really up to, is practicing my clears on different champions and, seeing where I lie with it. I have a jungle improvement guide that I was viewing from, ViraQ, I believe is his name, and, there's actually I have a like a Google sheet that I am tracking my different things. I'm tracking how long it's taking me um, to do these practice runs, and it's just getting me warmed up. It's getting me used to farming things, so I don't have to really. If I don't have to think about farming, that'll be awesome. I will relieve that from my brain and be able to do that, and it will be awesome. That'll be just fantastic. I'd love to be able to just do that and just be able to focus on now, um, 15 to 20 minutes or 30 minutes into the game and just focus on that. If I can do that, that's ideal there. Um, you can always try to, when you get feedback on your game and you're just taking a look at, the way you're playing the game, if you record it or if you just, watch back your replays and stuff like that, um, it's usually really good to just grab a notebook and just take a look and say, this is what I think I did right. This is what I did wrong. Why did I do this wrong? Um, how could I have done this better? Is there a way I can completely circumnavigate that? Circumnavigate means go along around the world. Um, but is there a way I can circumvent? I think is what I was looking for. Being in this spot or putting myself in this situation or something like that. Is there a way I can kind of figure it out and just move it around? Like I don't. Is there a way I can get, what if? Oh well, they killed me under turret. How about just don't go under turret, or help them push the lane before you get to turret or something like that. That definitely would be a step in the right direction, I think. Personally, for myself at least, is just taking a look at what's going on, um, playing League and watching League, and just kind of say like, where could I do better? How can I figure it out myself, and just really, um, you know, go from there and see how it is. But I think we're gonna jump into the actual, um, like League of Legends LCS aspect of things. And unfortunately, we're going to take a look at what's I say unfortunately. It's a good thing because I don't mind it. But looking at last week. Last week was started obviously on Thursday of March 9th. And kind of we're going to take a look and we're going to look into this Super Week coming up. And we're going to see you kind of do some little bit of prognosticating and everything there. Um, so let's take a look. So we actually start off Thursday with FlyQuest up against Team Liquid Honda. And that game went insane. Um, I was watching that game and I was jumping up and down as the game was going on because Team Liquid is able to just completely handle FlyQuest, the at the time the sole first place team, and just completely just figure them out. And I honestly think it was from the takedown of Ayla. I definitely think Ayla is a bit of a like weak spot in the team, and if they're able to attack bottom lane the way that they are now, and not just like and kind of cause Prince to have to worry about his support, I think then that's how you beat FlyQuest. That's how you figure him out, or figure them out in general. So that's how it started, which was awesome to see. Then we had TSM versus Immortals. Probably Immortals should have won this game, but it ended up being that TSM won it. Um, was actually a crazy game that TSM should have lost. But then like a couple crazy fights with Wild Turtle. And unfortunately then, um, you know what though? This is sorry. There's a chatter in my thing who should not be. Um, this is how do I do this here? I don't even know. I'm sorry. Things are jumping out. Um, don't go to that, guys. We don't want promotions and stuff like that. That's crazy. But what we can do is we can actually take a look and there we go. That works there. Sorry, got distracted. Um, TSM ended up winning because the amazing Wild Turtle was able to jump in, be able to do some Caitlyn headshots just here and there and this and that, and just cleaned up the team, and that was insane. Like it shouldn't have. Like, I don't know. It just was. It was crazy. I believe that was the Balulu Vel'Koz game. And I was actually
and feel like he has to itemize.
Jesus. Um, it definitely was bonkers. Let me just see here. I just clicked on the game. Yeah, that was the Balulu game. That was crazy. Um, and he could have won the game with tactical and Balulu just doing tons of poke damage, tons of damage just in general. Um, that could have worked and that could have been amazing. But unfortunately, Caitlyn just was able to just completely crap on people, and it happened. Then we go on to the next game. Next game of that week was Cloud9 versus Evil Geniuses. Evil Geniuses playing with JoJo from home, which, I mean, it was a thing, I guess. But Cloud9 just kind of took over, and they just won the game. Like it was like hard to like even specify why they really won the game. They just um, Blabber was just playing really well, um, and obviously Berserker's just an insane person, so he was able to just win. One of the best games of the night was definitely 100 Thieves versus Golden Guardians. Definitely, weirdly enough, it didn't feel like it should have went this way. But 100 Thieves won, and it was kind of just like tit for tat. It was backs and forth and back and forth and back, and it was like, oh, cool! Like these are equal teams. Excuse me. And in the end, 100 Thieves was just able to pull it out, and they were able to just be able to defeat Golden Guardians, who's been on quite a surge. I do really like the way that Golden Guardians looks this year. I'm very surprised. I know I said earlier in um, a couple episodes ago, probably like the last episode, depending on how long it was since I had the last. It was a while since I took the last episode, but I basically said Golden Guardians, puh, yeah, get Stixay out of here. Like what is he doing? He's an old man and all this, and then Stixay won friggin', almost won two uh, of the Player of the Weeks, which is crazy. Um, but he's been doing really good, and altogether, Golden Guardians was playing really well. And our 100 Thieves actually figured out how to win. Um, but they got this, right? They got it going forward. I definitely believe in them. If it's a choice between them and Liquid, though, it's always gonna be Liquid. So yeah. And then the last game of that day, of that Thursday, was CLG versus Dignitas, with Dignitas picking up their second win, which is crazy to think that they're only on 2 wins. But it was fine. I mean, CLG was able just fumbled the bag. Honestly, it seemed like um, they had a uh, they had ASOL just like insanely like ahead, and just scaling and scaling and scaling and scaling and scaling, and then it just wasn't enough, and then they lost, and it's like, what is ASOL useless now? It seems like it could be. It literally just could be useless. A lot of other regions and stuff like that aren't playing the ASOL as much, so maybe it's actually just useless. Maybe it's a really good NA champion. Who knows? But I mean, clearly they lost. So what's going on? And then Friday, March 10th, we ended up starting off with a sad Team Liquid loss against Cloud9. Um, how do I explain it? Basically, Blabber just completely did just everything that he could to kind of get ahead of Piotr, and was just able to just completely run him over. Which I understand. That's what you do. But Piotr wasn't able to really get anything started, which is how they won that game against FlyQuest. Was they able to play in the bot lane, and then they played through bot lane, but mainly through Piotr being able to push the map, figure things out for the team, and go from there. But of course, I mean, it's just crazy. It seemed like it was a crazy game, and Team Liquid ended up just losing. And then we obviously had FlyQuest versus Immortals. After that, Immortals also just really did well against FlyQuest. And then just eventually just they got worn down, and that was the FlyQuest game. It's just how it went. But it seems a lot closer than it really should have been. With a 12-3 team versus a 3-12 team, like that just went. And then Evil Geniuses, weirdly enough, ended up winning against CLG. When Evil Geniuses actually had Ryoma in the mid lane. Ryoma actually did really well too. So that's good. I mean, I'm glad that he was able to get some stage time, and I'm hoping that Evil Geniuses kind of figures things out. They were all playing from home, so that may have been a little bit better for them. Who knows, really? It seems like it has been really good for them. They obviously won when they were all from home, and then they lost when only JoJo was from home. But I don't know. Then we ended up having 100 Thieves versus Dignitas. 100 Thieves did really well in this. They kind of were just able to play better. It was a classic uh, Jensen versus Bjergsen matchup, and it just went well. 100 Thieves were able to just kind of get to a commanding lead and have, um, Closer just being able to go around the map, do his own thing, figure things out, just like the team really wants. Um, which I'm glad. I'm glad that that's able to be kind of, maybe it's the meta now. Maybe it's the meta that just 100 Thieves are able to really pop out and have a Closer just kind of popping off there. That would be really nice, honestly. Um, and Golden Guardians versus TSM was the last game of the night, and Golden Guardians ended up winning. I don't know if I actually saw this match up, but let me see. I might have seen some stuff about it. Let's hit the thing here. It was, let's see. Interesting. Interesting. It doesn't seem like it should have been a great matchup. It seemed like TSM should have lost, or TSM should have won. I mean, they had Maple on Veigar, which is great. Veigar's really strong right now. Let me try to go like towards the end here and just see what the deal is. Oh, Stixay just got ridiculously fed somehow. Um, he was 7-1 at this point. Um, looks like they took out Boogie a lot, as well as Solo. Solo just wasn't able to get anything done on Cho'Gath there, and wasn't able to take over like he probably should have. And they almost like perfect game them when it came to turrets and everything. It looks like that's actually insane. That is actually crazy. Um, but let's look forward to next week. Or let's say tomorrow. Actually, it starts on Wednesday, so definitely is gonna be crazy. Crazy week here. For Team Liquid, obviously needs to go basically 3-0 to win. They can win through um going 2-1. They can get through going 1-2. They have like a 15% chance, and then if they go 0-3, they're just out, and that's not good. But we start off tomorrow with FlyQuest versus Cloud9, which is insane, which is an actual insane matchup. The two number one teams playing up against each other to get out and figure stuff out, right? Just to basically give us whoever's actually in first. The other person will be down a game, which is always nice. And I think obviously currently FlyQuest does have the head to head. But if FlyQuest can win it there, then they have the they just are saying no, we're actually better than Cloud9. And then you have but honestly with that, I do hope that FlyQuest wins. I do like their team a little bit better than Cloud9. I always have like a horrible, I just don't know. I always have a horrible feeling with Cloud9. I just don't like their players. Like, I mean, they're good players, but don't get me wrong. Just like the cockiness of them, like it's kind of like meh, they're villains, which is nice. I like having like an actual team that's a villain to me. Then we have CLG versus Golden Guardians. Golden Guardians should win that pretty easily. 100 Thieves versus TSM. I believe last time 100 Thieves actually did win, which is fine. But I kind of want 100 Thieves to lose just so that we don't have more of a. I don't know. I think 100 Thieves will win this, probably. Then we have Immortals versus Evil Geniuses. Immortals, I know, is only 3-12, but I definitely think they could put up a bit of a fight to Evil Geniuses. They took FlyQuest to the brim basically last time. So that's possible that they're able to like get a win maybe there. Probably not, but we'll see. And then Dignitas versus Team Liquid Honda should be easy in the bag for Team Liquid. Obviously there are only 2 wins on that team, so that's good. But obviously Team Liquid or Dignitas just ended up winning. Last week. So, and they won against a very similar leveled team as Team Liquid, so could go bad. And then Thursday we start off with Evil Geniuses versus 100 Thieves. I definitely think Evil Geniuses wins that, unfortunately. Then we have TSM Dignitas. That's going to be TSM. Then we have CLG Team Liquid. Should be Team Liquid. Just the way that CLG has been looking. But it could be CLG. I don't want it to be CLG. But then we have Immortals versus Cloud9. I definitely think this is a more Cloud9 favored matchup for sure. Then we have FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians. I'm really interested in seeing this matchup again, as it's been a couple weeks, and FlyQuest at this moment would be, still kind of reeling from a loss against Team Liquid, but maybe just kind of righting themselves. And this is apparently a better team um, than Team Liquid was, so they should be able to, beat them. But who knows? Maybe it just messes up and they just can't win against Golden Guardians. If they can punish the bot lane like the other teams have been doing, I think honestly FlyQuest could fall. So I'm gonna not predict Golden Guardians, but I feel like they might win. And then for the last game of this regular season, or last day of the regular season, we have CLG versus Cloud9. Should be Cloud9's easy win there. TSM versus FlyQuest. Last time that I played that, TSM ended up winning, which is crazy, but possible. Definitely is possible. I don't think they'll give them the same out as before. So FlyQuest, I think, will win there. And then probably the hardest game in Team Liquid's future coming up here. Team Liquid Honda versus Evil Geniuses. It's definitely winnable. Last time we played up against them, it was literally we were ridiculously ahead and then just threw the game, and then all of a sudden that was the game. So hopefully it doesn't happen again. And then we have Dignitas versus Golden Guardians. Definitely Golden Guardians should be able to win there. And then Immortals versus 100 Thieves. I think at this point, if everything goes right, I think it's Immortals trying to play spoiler and trying to get 100 Thieves out of there. I think probably if Immortals wins that, then 100 Thieves doesn't get in. I think, or maybe they do still get in with tiebreakers and stuff. But if 100 Thieves win, I think they're just in, which is always great. But we'll see. We'll honestly see. I think 100 Thieves could win there. I wish there was a way that both Team Liquid Honda and 100 Thieves could win, and both get into playoffs and all this different stuff. I think it's actually possible. I just don't really know. So, fingers crossed, though. Honestly, fingers crossed that everything goes well, that my team gets in, that my wife's team gets in, so we can all meet in the finals, and we can just have a great big party, and we can be good to go. But on that point, guys, it's time for this party to end right here. I am going to hit the road once again. We've had quite a bit of a long episode here, kind of long-winded and all that. But I am very happy with this. I'm happy to be back. We'll look forward to doing this again next week. As let's see, that's the 21st, so it should be all good. No problem there. And I will see you all in the next podcast episode. So without further ado, bye bye.